أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome everybody to Monday's class, the beginning of week 6. And today and the whole of this week, we are going to have a slightly different format to our classes. We're halfway through our course, roughly. And so far, we've been introducing lots and lots of rules and applying them in various different chapters. Today, we're going to go over some of those chapters and some of those rules, but we're going to apply all the rules that we've been introduced to so far in the chapters that we've covered. So today we are going to focus on, we're going to use 4 chapters, chapters 114, 13, 12, and 110. And we're going to revise these particular rules, but we will also focus on all the other rules also. If I may have a student to the mic for the opening dua.
Our first stifle is A7379.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
How are you, darling?
I'm good. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I am also well. Thank you. Jazakumullah for asking. Are you on half term next week?
Yes.
You are, okay. I think lots and lots of people are going to be on half term next week as well. So it's quite useful that we're having this revision because you can do extra practice. Okay, darling. So today's Monday. So we're on this dua here. Okay, that starts here. Do you know this dua? Do you know this?
So,
You do. Okay, let me read and you follow. Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Well done. Okay, let me get my hand. Okay. رب اشرح لي صدري.
رب اشرح لي صدري.
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 Well done. Okay, round your mouth. It's a sod. Okay, صدري.
صدري.
Well done. ويسر لي أمري.
ويسر لي أمري.
Well done. Okay, and the translation here.
Lord, expand my mind and make my task easy for me, and remove every impediment from my speech, that people may understand easily what I say, and grant me a helper from my family.
Well done. A beautiful dua. Okay, and it's been chosen and selected because we're all learning and we're trying to learn a language that we don't speak for most of us. And so we want to free our minds and we want to free our tongue so that we can read properly. Can you give me the reference here, darling?
I don't know how to say the reference.
Okay, it's Doha. Doha. Hello, darling, you still there? Okay, so this is Doha 26 to 27. In the Holy Quran, there are 114 chapters. Doha is one of them. And within it, there are verses. And in verses 26 to 27 is where you will find this very, very nice dua. Okay, Jazakumullah sweetheart, we may indeed call you back to the mic to do some recitation. Allah Hafiz for now. Okay, so let's go straight away to An-Nas. And if I may have a student to the mic, please.
Yes. Our next student is NA8392.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, they don't have the mic at the moment. Oh, N8392.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, darling. How are you?
Good, alhamdulillah.
Okay. Right then, Sriha. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight some letters and I'm going to ask you questions about them, okay?
Okay.
Right then. So I'm going to highlight this year and I am going to highlight this year and I'm going to highlight this year. I think those are the only three that I meant to highlight. Okay, can you tell me anything about those year?
You pronounce it for 2 seconds.
You do indeed. Well done. And do you know that the proper term, the name that we give to this year?
No.
Okay, so this is a ya with a sukoon on the top. You could call it a ya sakin, but we also know this ya as a ya madda, and we do indeed stretch the sound out for 2 seconds. And why do we stretch the sound out for 2 seconds? What makes this ya sakin a ya madda? Do you know the actual rule?
No.
Okay, so there is a stroke just before this ya sakin. What is that stroke?
A kasra.
Well done. Before this ya sakin, what is this stroke here?
A kasra.
Well done. And before this ya sakin, what is this stroke here?
A kasra.
Well done. It's this kasra together with the sukoon on top of the ya. That's what changes this ya sakin into a ya madda. This kasra causes this ya to become a ya madda, and that's why we stretch the sound out for 2 seconds. Okay, well done. Let me just highlight something else now. Okay, I'm going to highlight this one. Okay, so can you tell me something about those 2 waw?
That you.
Anything about it?
Okay. You also pronounce those for 2 seconds as well as the other one.
Well done, yes. Do you know the actual name that we give to this? So if this was a ya madda, that might give you a clue. What do you think this might be?
A waw madda?
Yes, indeed it is. Yes. So what happens is this waw, which carries a sukoon on the top, is a waw sakin. But because there's a stroke just before it, what is the name of that stroke?
A dhamma.
Yeah, well done, well done. This dhamma, just before this waw sakin, makes this. Okay, one moment. In child discipline, student that's identified as RRR recurring, could you place them into the waiting room, please?
Yes.
Okay, so this waw madda, the dhamma before it, the dhamma and the sukoon here on top of the waw make this into a waw madda, which means that you do indeed stretch the sound out for 2 seconds. Same here. This waw sakin has a dhamma before it, and that means that this is a waw madda, and you do stretch the sound out for 2 seconds. Okay, so I think you know where I'm going to go next. Here and here. Let me stick that here. 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 And here. Okay, so can you tell me anything about the letters that I've highlighted? First of all, what is the letter that I've highlighted everywhere?
It's a.
Okay, it's here. This
It's
might be.
alif.
It is indeed, yes. This is also an alif. This is an alif here, and it's sitting all by itself. It's sitting by itself because the wow never joins on to another letter. Okay, so the wow won't join on to any letter, and that's why the alif sits by itself. But here, the letter before it is a noon, and noon can join on, and that's why this alif looks differently to this one. Okay, and you notice it goes up and it curves slightly behind. Okay, so they're all alif. Now, can you tell me anything about these alifs?
You pronounce them for 2 seconds, and you also bounce on them. No, not bounce on them, but like you just pronounce them for 2 seconds, and
Okay, so you do indeed, you're quite correct. Well done, 2 seconds. What is the name given to these alifs? These. Let me give you a clue. What was this?
A wow
Madda. Yeah. What was this?
Ayamata.
So what do you suppose the alifs will be?
Alif Mata.
Well done. Yes. Okay. Exactly. That's right. It's not tricky at all. Yeah. It's an alif madda. Do you know why this alif is an alif madda, and for example, this other alif is not an alif madda? Do you know why this alif is an alif madda?
Because it's got a wow with a fatha on it, and that one hasn't. It's got a kasra and a shadda.
Okay, well done. Yes, a fatha just before an alif, no sukoon on top of the alif. A fatha just before means that this is an alif madda, and you stretch the sound out for 2 seconds. Okay, well done. Okay, so we've just been able to recognize in this particular chapter, and you find it throughout the Quran, ya madda, alif madda, and waw madda. Okay, waw madda will be a waw with a sukoon and a dhamma beforehand. Alif madda will be an alif, no sukoon, but a fatha just before. And the ya madda will be ya with a sukoon and kasra just before. Okay, and it's really important that you stretch the sound out for 2 seconds. Okay, so Jazakumullah, sweetheart, that was really, really good. And inshallah, we'll have you to the mic again. If I may have another student for now.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz, darling.
I think she also has her brother with her because
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Jazakallah for that. Thank you. Jazakallah.
Okay then, sweetheart. So, assalamu alaikum, darling.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
Good.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, so your sisters answered some questions really beautifully. So no pressure on you, okay? I'm going to ask you some questions. I'm going to highlight this, here, and here, and here, and here, okay? Now, can you tell me anything that you can about the letters that I've highlighted?
All the nas are pronounced for 2 seconds.
Okay. Anything else? Anything about this little W sign that's on the top?
You have shaddas.
They do indeed. Okay, well done. These letters are all noon. Okay, there's a dot on the top. There's they're noons. They all carry a tashdid on the top. A tashdid is also known as a shadda. So all of them, they've got a tashdid on top. When any letter carries a shadda, it's known as a mushaddad letter. So this is a noon mushaddad. When you have a mushaddad letter, you have to press down on a mushaddad letter. because in fact, although you can only see one, there's really two of that letter there. The way that Arabic is written, a tashdid on top just tells you that there's two of those letters. So when you read, you have to press down because there's two letters. Now, with a noon mushaddad, there's one extra thing you have to remember, which is, as this young tifl very rightly said, you have to do a ghunna sound for 2 seconds. Okay, so not only do you have to press down on the noon, you also have to press down with a 2-second nasal sound. Okay, now, sweetheart, can you tell me, in this verse that starts here and ends here, is there any other mushaddad letters?
The ba.
Well done, yes. And that's known as a mushaddad ba. Okay, what would you call this letter here?
Mushaddad ra.
Well done. Okay, sweetheart, jazakumullah. Well done.
बहुत शुक्रिया.
Okay, Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.
Okay, and now one more student to the mic.
Our next Nasra is N8379.
Assalamu alaikum. N8379. Okay, she may have difficulty on the mic. If we may have another student, please.
N8369.
Okay, if you just bear with me for a second. I have N8368 on the mic.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Okay, sweetheart. N8368 has the mic. Okay, sweetheart. I want to ask you just one question, which is here, and here, and here, and here, and here, as well as here. What is sunnah? What should we do when we reach the letters that I've highlighted here?
We make them a jazm.
We do indeed, yes. Okay, so you've gone on to the next question. What I was going to ask you was, yes, indeed, we are going to pause here. We are going to pause because we've come to the end of the verse. And although we can, it's not prohibited to stop, to carry on. We can carry on reading. It is sunnah to stop. Sunnah means that it was the practice of the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. He always stopped at the end of a verse. So we follow sunnah and we also pause at the end of a verse. And if we pause on a letter that carries a short stroke, which may be kasra, which is the case in all of these cases here, or a dhamma on the top, or a fatha on the top, we have to temporarily ignore the kasra and treat this letter as if it has a sukoon on the top, so that this is a sakin letter. Okay? Okay, and that was the only thing that I wanted to ask you. So, sweetheart, stay on the mic, okay? Because we're now going to go on to do some recitation. Okay, so sweetheart, can you read for me from the Dawood all the way through the surah up to the end, okay?
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس.
Mashallah, mashallah, very, very nice recitation. Jazakumullah, very, very nice. Okay, so your recitation is very nice. Your pronunciation is very nice. A couple of things. You do understand that you've got to do 2 seconds on the noon mushaddats. But even though you knew that, when you came to this particular one here, I felt that you could have stayed on that for a little bit longer. Okay, so just make sure that whenever you've got a Noon Mushaddad, that you do press down for 2 seconds. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. We all do it. As I'm reading, sometimes I will, sometimes misread. Sometimes I will rush through something and then I'll have to go back. We all do it, okay? But it's just something to, bear in mind. And as I say, your pronunciation is absolutely lovely. Here, this is a meme. It's a thin letter, okay? Ma. Okay, so smile as you say, Malikin.
Malikin.
Well done, well done. Okay, now, the other thing that I want to point out is this lam sakin. You read this very, very nicely. Everything was just about right. But when you join onto a sakin letter, you do join. You make sure that you sound both letters that are joining, okay? But you don't linger on the letter that you're joining, okay? So you say minal jinnati. Minal jinnati. Don't do minal, because that's not correct reading. It's a sakin letter, which means that sakin letter will join onto a letter beforehand, but don't linger on it, okay? Minal jinnati.
Minal jinnati.
Well done. Okay, very nice recitation. So there were some very fine points that I picked up on because the rest of your reading was so nice. So for you to improve is just to make sure that you concentrate at all times and just make sure that your thin letters stay thin. Okay, Jazakumullah Siha. Allah Hafiz.
Lafis.
Okay, very nice recitation. So let's move on to this chapter here, chapter 113, Al-Falaq. Okay, so in here, I want to revise something known as light nasalization. Let me find here we are. Okay, so here we are. And I just want to remind you of something that we introduced in this course. It's something that we didn't do in G1. It's something that we've introduced in this course. And this rule adds beauty to your recitation. Known as reading a light nasal sound for noon, sakin and tanween. Some of you will also know this rule as ikhfa, but you don't need to worry about the actual technical name, okay? Whenever you see a noon sakin or a tanween, you must look at the next letter. You have to look at the next letter and see if it's mushaddad. If the next letter is not mushaddad, check, is the next letter a ba? If it's not a ba, check if it's one of these 6 letters here. Alif or a hamza, ha, ayn, ha, ghain and ha. If after noon sakin or tanween, the next letter is not mushaddad, is not ba, and it is one of these letters, and it is not one of these letters, so the next letter can't be mushaddad, can't be ba, and it can't be one of these, then what you do is you make a light nasal sound. So here, for example, okay, we've come to a noon sakin here, so we look at the next letter. Is this letter mushaddad? It isn't. Is it a ba? It isn't. Is it one of these letters here? And it isn't. So then we make a light nasal sound. فَإِن زَلَلْتُمْ. Okay? فَإِن زَلَلْتُمْ. Similarly here, this happens to be a tanween. But as soon as you see a tanween, look at the next letter. Is it mushaddad? This bit here? No. Is it a ba? No. Is it one of these letters? No. So we do a light nasal sound. قَوْمٌ ظَلَمُوا. Okay? Right. Okay. So that was one thing. Let me now go to here. So I would like a student on the mic, please.
A7389.
Assalamu alaikum, darling.
Walaikum assalam.
Most eager student. Okay, how are you, darling?
Fine.
Okay, right, Sriha. So I've just reminded you of a rule that we have covered in this course, and I've just highlighted these noon sakin. Okay, now tell me, what is the sound that we will make when we come to read this noon sakin?
Mew.
Well done. Okay, and why is that? Can you remember the rule?
Because the word in front of it isn't one of the izhar words.
Well done. Okay, so let me bring. Yeah.
Alif, Hamza, Ain, Ghain, Ha, Kha.
Well done. Okay, yes, so you do know these ones, okay? So the rule was the next letter, you have to check if it's mushaddad, a ba, or one of these. If it isn't, then it's a light nasal sound. Okay, so in this case here, the next letter is not mushaddad, it's not ba, and it's not one of those 6 letters. So therefore, we do a light nasal sound. Okay, so well done, well done. Okay, Allah Hafiz for now. And we can call him back to the mic possibly in a short while. Okay, the other thing I wanted to point out, if I could just get the right screen up. Okay, is sometimes when you see a noon sakin, you will make a different sound. And how do you work out what to do there? Okay, there is another rule that when you see a noon sakin or tanween, you have to look at the next letter. And if it happens to be one of these letters, then you make a very clear sound. There is no nasally sound at all. There's no 2-second stretching out or nasalization. So here we have a noon sakin. The next letter happens to be this one. It's one of these 6 letters. So how we read this is yan own. Okay, there should be a fatha on top. Yan ona. Here it's a noon sakin. We always look at the next letter and we see that the next letter happens to be one of these letters here. So man amana. Man amana. Here we have a tanween. As soon as you see tanween, you look at the next letter. It happens to be an alif, which is one of these letters. So that's why when we come across here, we would say adhabun alimun. Okay, so let me now go back to here. If I may have another student to the mic.
N8369.
Assalamu alaikum.
Iman.
Assalamu alaikum.
Iman.
Okay, if we could come back to that student, another student, please.
Yeah.
Okay, just another student will do. We'll come back to that student, okay?
N8394.
Assalamu alaikum.
Let me unmute her.
And okay,
Assalamu alaikum.
wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
Good.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, Sriha. So I am going to highlight this letter here, okay, and this letter here, okay. Tell me, how will we make the sound on this particular letter and why?
And you will make a nasal sound from them.
You will make a nasal sound or you won't?
You will.
Okay, so just from here, just read me to here.
Should I read until there? Or?
Yeah, just read like around there.
غَاثِقٌ إِذَا وَقَبَ.
Okay, all right. Okay then. So let me take you back to here. When you see a noon sakin or tanveen, you look at the next letter. And if it happens to be any of these letters, then you don't make any nasal sound. You make a very clear noon sound. So let me go back here. Let me just clear that for you, okay? Okay, so here we've got a tanveen. So as soon as we see tanveen, we look at the next letter. What is this letter?
Alif.
Alif. Okay, so let me say to you, is alif one of these letters here?
Yeah.
It is. So if it is, then the noon sakin or the tanveen is a clear sound. So let me take you back. Again, what do you think you will do here then? How would you read that?
Ra Sikin.
Yes, well done. Just spin. You don't stretch it out. You don't make a 2-second nasal sound at all. Okay. And that's because the next letter is an alif. So tell me, what would you do here?
You wouldn't do a nasal sound for 2 seconds because there's an alif.
Well
after
done.
it.
Yes. And that's the rule that you need to remember. So, okay, sweetheart, you're on the mic. Let's have a read through this particular surah. Okay, start with Dawood and go to the end if you can.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد.
Mashallah, very, very, very nice reading. Very, very nice reading. Very pleasing to the ear. Okay, so I've just highlighted this here because you read here absolutely perfectly. Really, really well done. There's two tashdeeds straight after the other, okay? And there's a gunna sound. And you read that really, really nicely. So well done, okay? Just a couple of things here. This qaf. Can you tell me anything about qaf?
Qaf.
Is a, what sort of a letter is it?
It's a thick letter.
It is, yes. So when you read it, try and remember to try and get that thick sound out, okay? It comes from the back of your mouth at the top of your throat. You know that bit that dangles right at the back of your throat? You've got to try and get the back of your tongue to try almost to touch it. Ul.
Ul.
Well done, yes. Okay, so try and get that thick sound out. And actually, for the most part, you were doing this light nasal sound really nice. I just felt that here you could have done it a little bit better. So let's have a go. وَمِن شَرِّ.
وَمِن شَرِّ.
Well done, okay? And that's how to make that sound. Otherwise, your reading was very, very nice. Very, very nice. And you did lovely qalqala at the ends as well. Okay? So Jazakumullah for your help. Allah Hafiz for now.
Allah.
Okay, so very, very nice recitation. Very, very nice recitation. But these rules are really important for you to know because these short chapters, all of us, you know, from a young age, our mums will sit us down and will just read them to us and we end up memorizing them. So we apply all the rules, but we don't know why. But as we read the Holy Quran and we get to other verses that aren't so familiar to us, we need to know how and why we read the way that we do. And that's why we emphasize on teaching the rules in these short chapters, okay? So that once you know that as soon as you see a tanveen, you have to look at the next letter. The next letter decides the sound that this makes. Then you will be able to, wherever you find this in the Holy Quran, you'll be able to put that rule into practice, okay? And that's why these 6 letters here, Alif and Hamza, Ha, Ain, Ha, Ghain, and Kha. These are really, really important for you to memorize because if you know those, you will pretty much know how to apply most rules, okay? It's easier to remember those than a whole load of other letters. Okay, so we are now going to move on to this particular surah here, okay? And I'm just going to remind you about a rule that we've introduced you to, which is on number 7. So let me just bring that up. Okay, so we introduced you to something known as a majestic lam. And a majestic lam is a lam which happens to be in the word of Allah. Okay. If you see a lam, always just read it as a thin lam, except if it happens to be in the word Allah and the letter before it has a stroke that's on top, a fatha or a dhamma. Okay. So, for example, here there is a lam. This lam is in the word Allah. It is mushaddad, and the stroke just before it is a fatha. This makes this a thick lam. This lam here is in the word Allah. It's mushaddad. The stroke just before it is this one here. It happens to be a fatha. That makes this a lam, a thick lam. Here we have the word Allah. The lam is mushaddad, but the stroke before it is a kasra. It's not a stroke that's on top. Then this becomes it stays as a thin lam. Same here. A lam in the word Allah, it is mushaddad, yes, but the stroke just before is a kasra. It's not on the top, and therefore this lam stays thin. A lam is always thin except when it's in the word Allah and the stroke just before it happens to be on the top. So a fatha or a dhamma, a fathatain or a dhammatain. Okay, and the way you would read it is Allahu, Allahu. Okay, and the thin one would be Billahi, Billahi. Okay, so if I may have a student to the mic.
A7379.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I am very well. Jazakumullah for asking. Okay, sweetheart. So I'm going to, hopefully I won't miss any, but I'm going to highlight all the lams that are actually read in this surah. And then I'm going to ask you some questions. Okay, so if I've missed one, then I've missed one. Okay, I'm going to go through and I want you to tell me whether the lam that I'm pointing to, whether it's thick or thin, and see if you can explain it to me why it might be thick. Okay, so this first one here, is this lam thick or thin?
It's thin because the letter before it isn't a dhamma or a fatha.
Well done. It isn't a stroke that's on top. Well done. Also, this lam is part of what word?
Allah.
Well done. This lam is part of the word Allah, and the stroke just before is not on the top. So this is a thin lam. Well done. This lam here, is this a thick or a thin lam?
Is it a thick one? Because the letter before it, the stroke is above.
Okay, the stroke is above. But is this lam part of the word Allah?
No.
No, okay. It must be part of the word Allah for it to become thick. The only time a lam ever becomes thick is, firstly, it must be within the word Allah, and the second thing is that the stroke must be on the top. Okay? Before. So, this lam here, I'll ask you again, is this thick or thin?
It's thin.
Well done. This lam here, is it thick or thin?
It's thick.
Because
the letter before it, the stroke is above.
well done. And what is the other reason why this might be thick?
And it's because the word is Allah.
Well done, well done. Okay, this one here, is this thick or thin?
Thick because the letter before it stroke is above and it's in the word Allah.
Well done. This lam here, thick or thin?
It's none because it's thin because the letter before it, there's no letter before it.
Okay, it's also not part of the word Allah, is it? Yeah, it's lam. So it's not part of the word Allah. So it just is a thin lam, yeah?
Okay.
Okay, well done. You're doing very well. Okay, don't sound so panicky. You're doing very, very well. This lam here, is this thick or thin?
It's thin because it's not in the word Allah.
Well done. And that's as far as you need to go on that one. If it's not part of the word Allah, you don't even need to worry about the stroke beforehand. What about this lam here?
It's thin because it's not in the word Allah.
Well done. And here? Thick or thin?
It's thin because it's not in the word Allah.
Well done. And here?
Thin because it's not in the word Allah.
And here?
And this is thin.
Well done. Yes, well done. Okay, very, very well done. Okay, this is a really simple rule, very, very simple rule, but sometimes people get confused because they think, oh, okay, it's a lam, and in this case here, this one here, is mushaddad, and what is the stroke before? Oh, there's a dhamma here, so this must be thick. But they forget that actually the real reason that it's thick is because it should be part of the word Allah. Okay, so that's the main criteria, and then the stroke beforehand. Okay, so sweetheart, you're on the mic, and you've done such really lovely answers. Could you please have a go at reading? Oh, okay. One other thing I want to do, highlight in this chapter. Okay, here and here. When we pause, okay, what do we do to the strokes?
Do we make them? Do we turn them into a sukoon?
Well done. Yes. If you pause, or if you do waqf, if you were to use the Arabic word, if you pause on a letter that carries a short stroke, like a dhamma, or a kasra, or a fatha, then you have to temporarily just think of them as a sukoon. Okay? Well done. Tell me, when we pause here and we pause here, what will we do there?
We'll read it, but without the sukoon. Without the sukoon.
Okay, so at the moment they've got a dhammatain on top, okay, both of these letters, okay. What will happen to the dhammatain when we pause?
Well, we only read one of them.
Okay, so what happens is when you have a tanveen and you pause, you a dhammatain, you make it into a sukoon. Okay, so it's exactly the same as the short strokes. If you see a dhammatain, it becomes a sukoon. And that's why we'll say here, a had. Okay? The dhammatain temporarily becomes a sukoon. Okay, so here, what would we do here? It's a sakin already. What happens to sakin letters if you pause on them?
Do we turn them into a sukoon or do we leave it as how it is?
We leave it exactly as it is. If it's already sakin, we leave it as sakin. Okay, so well done. Okay, sweetheart, so you're on the mic. Have a go at reading the whole of this surah. Okay, start with Dawood, and remember to make sure that your thick lams become thick, okay, and that your thin ones stay thin. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, then, so from Dawood, please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد.
Well done, well done. Okay, very, very nice reading, sweetheart. You don't need to sound so nervous. Very, very nice reading. The main thing I'm going to point out for you is your qalqala, okay? Here, and here, and here. You okay, darling?
Yeah.
Okay, you sound out of breath, okay? Take a drink of water if you need to,
I don't.
okay?
Okay.
Okay, so maybe you could call out to your mum and she could bring some for you. But okay, so when you see a letter which is qalqala, and we'll revise this during the course of the week, okay? When you see a letter that is qalqala, you do a little bit of a bounce on qalqala letters, okay? So here we have a dal, and we are going to pause on it, so it becomes a sakin dal, and then we use the qalqala rule. And what we do is we just flick the tongue off the top of our mouth when we make the dal sound. So here we'll go Allahu Samad.
Allahu Samad.
Well done. Okay. Now just think about what your tongue is doing, yeah? Dal. Just say the word, the letter dal.
Dal.
Okay. Now you know where the tip of your tongue touched the top of your mouth?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So when you pause on a dal, if you say mad and you leave that tip of your tongue on the top of your mouth, you're going to be reading it without qalqala, mad. But if you take the tongue off the top of your mouth very quickly, then you'll get that slight bounce, mad.
Mud.
Well done, okay? And same here, lam yalid.
Lam yalid.
Well done, okay? Take the tongue off the top of your mouth. As soon as you touch it, take it off again. Lam yalid.
Lam yalid.
Well done. Walam yulad.
Walam yulad.
Well done. Okay. Well done. Well done. Okay. Just for me to hear it one more time, can you read from here to here?
Yakun lahu.
Okay, well done. Okay, so this is a rule that we will revise during the course of the week, okay? But for now, I'll just tell you, you don't say the noon here. You join this lam to this gaf, okay?
Okay.
Walam yakullahu.
Walam yakun lahu.
Well done. This noon here, you completely ignore it, okay? But we will revise that during the course of the week.
Okay.
Okay, sweetheart. Very, very nice assisting. Jazakumullah for your help, okay? Allah Hafiz.
Good office.
Allah Hafiz. Okay, so let's move on to this particular chapter. Okay, so let me just take you to which one was it? Okay, so it was, here we are. Okay, Ra. The letter Ra, there's a lot of rules that are associated with the letter Ra. And so far, we've made it really simple and only told you about some of the times that a Ra becomes thick. So we're going to just revise that, okay? A Ra is thick and heavy if it carries a fatha or a dhamma. Only if it carries a fatha or a dhamma. Or any stroke on the top, okay? So a fathatain or a dhammatain also will count. If you see a sakin Ra, you will make that thick and heavy if the letter before has a stroke on top. So a fatha or a dhamma or a fathatain or a dhammatain. Okay. So that's all we've focused on, okay? There are other times when Ra is thick and heavy. There's lots and lots of rules to do with Ra. But for now, the only thing that you really need to remember is as soon as you see a Ra, look at the stroke. If it's on the top, it's thick and heavy. If it's on the top, it's thick and heavy. If it happens to be a sakin Ra, if the stroke just before is on the top, then that Ra is thick and heavy. If you see a sakin Ra and the stroke before is on the top, is thick and heavy, okay? Ra, rafa'a, ru, rubama, arsala, mursilun. Okay? Now, let's go to here. If I may have a student on the mic, please.
Our next student is N8376.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, that student has a problem with her mic. So if we may have another student.
And 8365.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
How are you, darling?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I am very, very well. Very nice and softly spoken. Okay, Siha. So I've highlighted all the ra that I can see in here. And I would like you to tell me, as I point to them, whether they are thick and heavy and why. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So this first one here, tell me, is that a thick ra or a thin ra?
It's a thin ra.
Why would you say it's a thin ra?
Because after it, it's an ha, and before it, it's a lam.
You're quite right. There is a ha afterwards. There is a lam beforehand. But the ra, what is on the top of it here?
It's a fatha.
It is indeed. So let me take you to here. A ra is thick and heavy if it carries a
Fatha.
or a
Dhamma.
or in fact any stroke on the top. Okay. So let's now go back to here. What do you think this ra will be?
A thick ra.
It will indeed. Oh, you're so sweet. Yes, it will indeed be a thick ra because it carries a fatha. What will this ra be?
A thick ra.
Because
Because it has a fatha on top of it.
it does indeed. Yes, well done. Tell me about this ra here. Is it thick or thin?
It's a thin. It's a thick ra because it has a dhamma on it.
Well done. Yes. And this one here?
A thick one again because it has a fatha on it.
Well done. Okay. So what about this one here?
It's a thick one as well because it has a fatha on it.
Well done. Okay. What about this one here?
This one's a thin ra because it has a streak on it which not a fatha and a dhamma, but before the letter before it has a kasra under it, and that's why it's a thin ra.
It is indeed. Yes. Well done. This ra has a sukoon on top. It's a ra sakin. So when you see a sakin ra, look at the stroke beforehand. It's underneath. So this is a thin ra. Well done. Well done. Such a sweet way of answering. Okay, so ra is one of those letters that is sometimes thick and sometimes thin. Okay. Lam is one of those letters which is sometimes thick and sometimes thin. So I'm going to ask you here, can you tell me whether this lam will be thick or thin and why?
This one's a thick ra.
Because
It has the letter before it is a thick ra,
mhm,
and the further one, the lam,
mhm.
doesn't have a streak on it. And
Okay, all right, okay. Sorry, darling, I'm just cutting you off there, but yes. The way to look at this one here is notice that it's part of a word. Do you know what word that is?
Yeah,
And would you like to tell me?
Allah.
Well done. This lam is part of the word Allah. So as soon as you notice that it's part of that word, you should always look at the stroke beforehand, which happens to be a
Dhamma.
dhamma. It's a stroke that's on the top. And that stroke then decides that this lam is a thick or
A
thin?
thick lam.
A thick lam, yes. Okay, well done. Okay, sweetheart. So your voice is so sweet, so beautiful. I'd like to hear you recite this surah. Would you do that for me? Start with Dawood and read it all the way through. Okay, go for it, darling.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفره إنه كان توابا.
Mashallah, mashallah. I never ever get tired of listening to children reciting Quran. Such a sweet voice. Sweetheart, that was really, really nice recitation. Very, very nice recitation. So let me just pick up on a couple of things, okay? Here, when you read this, absolutely beautiful, okay? It's a thin lam and you really read that really just right, okay? So well done. This lam, part of the word Allah, the stroke before is a kasra. So this was a thin lam. You read it beautifully. Okay, when you read here, you made this very thick for some reason. The whole of the three sounds here, for some reason you made them very thick. There are no thick sounds here. So when you read it, wal fath. Okay? Well done, okay? So it's fa, da, and this ha becomes a sakin ha because we're going to pause, okay? And we have to make sure that we sound all three letters, yeah? The fa, the, and the ha. Fath. Well done, okay? So try and get the th and the ha sound as well, yeah? Fath. Well done, okay. Same thing happened here, okay? There's a fa and a ra, okay? The fa and the ra join, fir. But because we're going to pause here, okay, that becomes a ha sakin. So we've got to make sure all three sounds are made. Fir. Okay, fir, ha. Okay, well done. Yes, exactly. All three sounds must be said because the letter happens to be there. Okay, so that was very nice. Here, tell me what should be done here on this noon which carries the shadda.
I will have to make a nasal sound.
Yes, for how long?
2 seconds.
Well done. Okay, so when you're young, sometimes you run out of breath because you've got to read a whole long verse and it takes a really deep breath. But you've got to try and make sure that you do the 2 seconds, okay? So when you were reading it, you did it just a little bit short, okay? Okay, otherwise, very, very, very nice reading. I could listen to you for a lot longer. But unfortunately, we've come to the end of our class. So Jazakumullah Sriha, and Allah Hafiz for now.
Allah Hafiz.
Okay, so we've now come to the end of our lesson. And I know that we didn't listen to a huge number of recitations, but the focus on this course is really to try and enable students to be able to read any verse of the Holy Quran and read it properly. So we're going to really focus on making sure that you understand the rules so that when you're not in class, you can apply them, okay? Okay, so the homework for today, on Monday, the 10th of February, okay, is today we used 4 chapters, An-Nas, Al-Falaq, Al-Ikhlas, and An-Nas, 114, 13, 12, and 10. We didn't do 111. We will use that another time, inshallah. And we applied all the rules in our recitation. Yeah? So if you can, oh, sorry, if I can, okay, here we go. We applied all the rules in our recitation. But for your homework, I would very much like, because it's really important, for you to learn the letters of clear pronunciation for Noon, Sakin, and Tanween. They're in lesson 25 on page 114. And I will show you. Here they are. Okay, it's in lesson 25. You can see it's page 114. And I've highlighted them for you here. Alif, Hamza, Ha, Ain, Ha, Ghain, and Ha. These letters are really important for you to learn and memorize. Okay, so for your homework, I would like you to go to page 114 and look at those letters and memorize those. Okay, that is the homework for today, as well as practicing your recitation. Okay, so if I may have a student to the mic for the closing dua.
N8392.
Assalamu alaikum, darling.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam, darling. Okay, sweetheart, so we're going to do the closing dua, and we've come to the end of our lesson, so we'll do just this part here. If you could do the Dawood, and then shall I lead it for you?
Can I do it myself?
You can. Okay, then Dawood to start off with, okay?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم ارحمني بالقرآن العظيم.
And the translation.
I will have mercy on me through the great Quran.
Jazakumullah, sweetheart, for a lovely way to end the class. Jazakumullah to everybody for attending the class. Inshallah, we'll meet again. And until next time, until tomorrow, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.